Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to the post-fight show with Stormybman, and I got my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens here, and we're here to talk about the Mielnicki Jr. and Delomba card that took place this evening, just wrapped up, and Merry Christmas to everyone out there, and thank you guys for stopping by to hear what we got to say about today's bouts that were broadcast on Christmas Day. So we had a little boxing present for those of us who love boxing that much. And the card wasn't that bad, to be honest. It was entertaining, and we got a chance to see a little rumbling and tumbling today. So with no further ado, let me welcome myself and my man Reggie Owens into the broadcast. What's good, Reggie?
What's up, OG? Man, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, and man.
We got
same to you, man. It's like, you know, we hey, what did I say about this fourth quarter of the year? It's like they've really been entertaining us with this sport. We haven't got all the fights that we wanted to see, but we've got plenty. You know, we got plenty to warm us up. And I'm thankful for that, because I thought it would just be another, you know, bringing out the end of the year, just kind of like dragging across the finish line. But we've seen some pretty darn good boxing over the past couple of months, and I can't complain about that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I won't complain either, man. And I've been enjoying this. They, like I say, they've been delivering. When these fighters get out here and fight, the fans are willing to show that appreciation once again. Some won't, but the ones who appreciate it will always show that appreciation.
Exactly. So I want to take a quick moment to go into the chat. We had a couple of people come in early, and a super chat I saw in there. We had Jab Jamboree out there. He says, "As Stormybman, salute. His trainer should have let homeboy finish the fight. Make me feel like he got an envelope dropped off to him for Christmas." Hey, we're going to talk about that, because, you know, there was a point where the fight could have been stopped and it would have been okay. And then the action was allowed to go on. And I don't know how I feel about that, Reggie. And then they stop it, you know, after that. But salute to the brother, Jared 011 Green, out there in that super chat. He says, "Merry Christmas, Sensei and LDBC. Thank you for your donation, man. We appreciate that." Salute to Jared Green, man. We got a few more people here. I just want to name them off there. We got Dwayne Jones up there. He's saying, "Bless up from the mighty ATL." J. Wayne Citizen is back. He says, "I just want to say thank you, Al Heyman, for boxing on Christmas Day." Yeah, man. Al is still, he finds ways to outdo people, don't he, Reggie? And we could talk about that as well. Chi-Town's Finest is out there saying, "Happy holidays, blessings, and love, Seafood. Same to you." And then we have one of the brothers out there, that's foreign language. I can't read the name, but welcome. Then we got Reese Bruh out there saying, "Salute Stormy B Man and Wrenches and Chat. Salute to you as well." Alvin Davis is back saying salute. And Reese is also saying salute at Reggie. Vince Williams is back saying salute Stormy, Reggie, and Chat. Mr. Mechanical, the same. Let's see. President Jafar is out there saying salute to the Seafood and at Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. Murr is out there saying peace, peace. And Mr. Mechanical is saying salute player at Stormybman and at Reggie. Young World is back as well, saying salute Sensei, salute Big Reg, and salute to the chat. Happy holidays. And many returns to you, brother. Thank you for that. Yeah, Reggie, let's first talk about, oh, I hit my laptop here. Let's talk about Al Heyman providing boxing on Christmas Day. And I know, I just want to say this before you chime in. There are certain fighters that he couldn't ask this of, but it was an opportunity for other fighters who may not have gotten the light shined on them in a showcase manner. And he took that opportunity and made the most of it. What are your thoughts?
Man, I think a brilliant move by Al Heyman. And also being that this game of boxing is, saturated with young fighters that are looking to develop, young fighters that are looking to get their moment under the lights, under the bright lights, and under telecast, being that one fight card was showcased on one network and he was able to bring it onto another network to give these guys opportunities to be shown to a broad audience, being that many people aren't out shopping, many people aren't out at some sort of club or other entertainment spots. They're at home and able to watch these events on regular national TV, free TV. And I think it was a very smart and epic move. Salute to the fighters that were in shape to be able to say yes to these dates, go out here, make some money for themselves on Christmas. Because to be honest, as a man, Christmas ain't about us. I can give two damns about Christmas. To me, Christmas is for the kids, and for the women. Women enjoy that. They're into doing all this other stuff to making Christmas a festive event for the kids. They'll do the elf on the shelf stuff to make it fun and festive. That's for them. Boxing is for me. Boxing is for men who like sports, and we got our entertainment. Either you're gonna watch some of the football games, but for fighters to be in shape, because this is a sport, unlike the NBA and the NFL, you have to go play. Either you play or we're gonna fill somebody else in your spot. In boxing, it's the same thing. For an individual, you take these dates and hopefully you're in shape and you make this money. It's the way they make the money. It's the way they put food on the table. Hearing about Joey having a kid as well. This moment right here was able to feed his family and also to provide whatever is needed to go for that kid. So fighters have to enjoy it. And it was like, what, about 10 different fights on tonight? So there was about 10 cards. And I think it was smart to take advantage of this moment for a Christmas Day, because fight fans want to see something. Fight fans, to be honest, for Al Heyman and them, even for Bob and all the other cats, fight fans want to see fights on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So bring it. As long as the networks provide it. But I enjoy it. I like what Al Heyman has done since he then came over into this boxing side of things. I got no knocks on him. I don't knock it. There's a lot that goes into running a boxing operation. It ain't just as simple as we want to see these fights, give it to it. Don't run like that. But Christmas Day boxing, I can't complain. Then we get on New Year's Day. Oh, come on, man. Keep it coming, man. And that's my thought.
And another thing too, you made a very valid point there. You said somebody being in shape, to take this, a card like on this day, and the fact that people are at home on Christmas. Most people, if they haven't traveled to visit family, they're at home. And even if they did travel to visit family, they're at home there. So it's like, to be able to flip on a TV, would you rather watch a football game or would you rather watch some boxing? See, now you're coming into something, and we're not talking about the diehard NFL fans or college football fans, because they watch that stuff every single weekend till their seasons are over. But we're talking about a holiday like this. If you had an opportunity to watch some boxing that you ain't gonna see on regular TV and everything, as opposed to watching, a football game or even an NBA game. A lot of times you might watch your NBA team if they playing, but you'll switch over to that boxing to see what's happening. You'll be like, let me just watch a couple of rounds. You will do that. So yeah, Al Heyman is very smart in that regard, because the other promoters who are able to utilize television, let's just say Aram, they're too money hungry and greedy to recognize the best time to exploit their brand. See, because that's what that is. It's the exploitation of your own brand because you can bring people back. And he's going to do that with this pay-per-view card that's coming up. Now, what I was happy to see that I didn't know weeks ago is, oh, it's only going to be $40. You know, I can get with that because, first of all, you got a couple of good fights on there. That fight between Ortiz and Prince Charles Martin is going to be a good fight. Two southpaws. You know what I'm saying? And one has been stopped by Wilder twice. The other one has been stopped by AJ and has lost and is trying to make his way back. So he's fighting with purpose. And so is Ortiz. That's a good matchup right there. So to get something like that, I can hang. And they're not trying to blow our wallets out with it. You see what I'm saying? And we're talking about heavyweights where anything can happen in the heavyweight bout. So again, master stroke by Heyman, because he could have did it a different way, like Aram, put something on pay-per-view that didn't belong and overprice you with it and things like that. So salute to him for doing that. You know what I mean? And I just look forward to the possibilities of 2022 because we're at a place where we may see some really good stuff coming down the pipeline. So don't jump off the bandwagon so quickly. Just kind of wait and see and hear the whistle because we may get notice of something really good on the horizon. Let's get into that, what I was just talking about at the start of the show, Reggie, when I was talking about the stoppage. It was being suggested by, the Jab Jamboree. Salute to the Jab Jamboree. And also I saw Drew Titan out there. Salute to Drew Titan. Happy holidays to you, brothers. I saw an opportunity for them to stop that fight, Reggie, when he landed that big right hand and the Delomba was hurt. He buckled and almost turned sideways, right? That was the time. His trainer could have said, oh, no more. Threw that towel in there and said, that's it. And you know what? No one would have raised a question or an eyebrow. But the fight continued beyond that point, and they were scuffling and this and that or whatever. And he took some battering, as he had did earlier in the fight when Mielnicki tried to jump on him. And he withered that storm as he was doing there when the ref was told by the corner to stop it at that time. No, it's the 10th and final round. He weathered the storm from the big shot. You could have stopped it at that point of the big shot, and no one would have said anything. But you waited and allowed that to continue. See, this is what I'm talking about these corners, man, and they don't really know what they're doing, and you can tell they're disengaged from the action because you're supposed to be ready and on top of that type of thing. You don't just get paid to rah and yell in a guy's ear and wipe his sweat off and give him some water. You're supposed to be looking at everything. And the most important things are your fighter's well-being. That right hand Mielnicki hit him with was probably the right hand of the fight. But it was the moment. If it was in your mind at all, if he takes too much in this round, I'm going to stop it. If that was there. If that wasn't there, then I could see you just letting it go to its completion. But it was there because of his reaction, meaning the trainer, the point that he did stop it. You see? And these guys got to get better. I'm very critical of cornermen. Very critical. And when the opportunity is there, you stand on your square, you make a decision. When it's not there, don't create potential controversy. Because like Akreacher said, that right there looks awfully fishy because you give Mielnicki a TKO that he didn't earn. You give it to him. Like you said, an envelope might have exchanged in locker rooms in the aftermath and everything. Listen, Mielnicki couldn't stop him in all those other rounds. But that one right hand he hit that kid with, it totally discombobulating him. And that was the moment to act. Don't wait till after that and then try to step in and, oh, I was trying to save my fighter. Go sit your butt down somewhere and get out of my face with that crap, because I don't see it that way. Your thoughts, Reggie?
Yeah, no, I can definitely see where y'all coming from with that as well. Because even the fighter was confused. Like, he was like, what the hell is the ref doing? The ref had to tell him, man, your corner stopped this. And it was a few. I'm not sure where the knockout came, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't that much time left in that final round. And it was one thing to kind of add. And I can see where it can be suspicious, where it looks like, damn, y'all trying to make things look good on the record of Mielnicki. And it's possible the fight could have definitely went on. The fighter looked like he was wanting to go back out there. I don't think Mielnicki just got the one punch in. Mielnicki wasn't putting enough together to really probably crush the guy. It could have been like, because they waited to after the count was over. The count was already over, and the ref was about to return it back to action when they get up there and they go to stop it. And that was questionable because everybody in the chat too was like, man, what the hell is the ref doing? And people were like, man, that ain't cool. But then the corner's coming up there, to claim ownership of that stoppage. But it was just like, it's only a few more minutes. Let's see what the fighter got left. I can definitely see that. And like you said, when that first punch landed, that's where they could have stopped it. And I'll be wanting to see, because I think it's a problem in the sport to where a lot of times corners aren't stopping fights when they need to be stopped. And even in that, it was a fight on earlier where the corner, that was a 4-round fight where I think the corner stopped the fight. And the corner's like, man, you got nothing to give. We're going to pull you out of this fight. Those are great decisions rather than letting these guys take a bashing. But in moments like that, let the fighter make it to the finish line. Not so much of trying to, how people were saying about with the, not to be like how people were talking about when they were mad that Kenny stopped the Sean Porter fight. Oh, man, you stopped him from getting his glory of letting this guy fall on the shield. It's not about that. But it's like, if a fighter can make it to that finish line, let him make to the finish line, or see what he looks like after you return him after this count, being that the count was already made. Just got to see what he looks like. But the guy could have went over to a judge's scorecard, definitely. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I had written in your chat that I thought that Mielnicki had kind of burned himself out a little bit between that third and fourth round when he poured it on kind of heavy on Delomba, and I thought that he was just trying to pace himself to do 10 and not get too winded or anything like that, which is not the best way to fight. Because if the opponent was a more liver threat in there, it could have really turned bad for him in those last 3 or 4 rounds. But it was obvious that Delomba didn't have the type of skills that would call that into question. But he had one thing going for him, which you could ask of a lot of fighters. He had guts, and he hung in there, and he could have quit. He could have folded up, but he didn't. And again, salute to Al Heyman, because picking that guy, and I heard someone say in your chat early before the fight started, Reggie, they said that the guy hadn't fought in 2 years, maybe, or something like that. I don't know if that's true. I don't have that information, but somebody wrote that in your chat. If that's true, he really did a good job of having not, been in the ring or been active in a couple of years, and to come in and go to the 10th round like that, that's hats off to him. Again, we don't know. Some people, all they need is, and his showing tonight might get him on another air as a future opponent within the next few months. He may get another call. And, again, that's the thing that a really good matchmaking team and advisors, as like Heyman, that's what they can do for fighters who are thriving and surviving. You know what I mean? So another check mark, another box checked on that. So your thoughts on that fact?
Yeah, I want to go on about the fact about where Mielnicki was on cardio, and then I'll go into the guy's prospect. The potential of seeing him on another fight card was with Mielnicki. that cardio where you're saying about that third, fourth round, that round where he tried to pour it on to get the guy up out of there, he never recovered from that. And that's something where they definitely gonna have to take Mielnicki and put him on the road. He definitely has to stay on the road and get that cardio up. And that's kind of an easy fix. He just got to put the miles in, put in the hard running, running that's really going to, improve his ability to kind of, ensure at 19, he should have way better cardio, but he's still young enough to where you can develop those lungs for this kid. And it was just it wasn't good to see how long it. I don't even know if you can say he gained a second win. He just caught the guy with a punch because he still looked a little bit winded as the rounds would go on, and the other guy was starting to try to not so much come on, but the other guy was able to walk forward at Mielnicki, being that Mielnicki was still trying to reserve himself and try to get that cardio back up, but he just didn't have the lungs for it. So they definitely have to tune that up. His boxing skills are good. But the cardio, anybody else can catch him in a moment with greater offense, they would have made it look bad for Mielnicki. He probably would have suffered a second loss. The dude Delomba, being that he was out for that 2 years, close to 2 years, I think the last fight was early, maybe January 2020, or it might have been late 2019. He definitely showed a good showing to be able, for one, to go into a 10-round fight. His cardio looked good. He didn't show any signs of wearing down. He started coming on a little bit against Mielnicki, except he just didn't have the offensive output. But he was landing some good shots on Mielnicki. He was landing some. I think he may have hurt Mielnicki once or twice in that fight, and Mielnicki was starting to grab him quite a bit in the fight whenever he was able to land those shots. But he would definitely probably get another call up, like you're saying, being that he was in shape, he was ready. It gives them the opportunity for his team to go in there and work on something. And maybe that could have been the reason for the coach to not want to see him get knocked out, being maybe there are a potential for another opportunity. But then again, they could have let him go. But even if they were thinking that, they could have let him go to the bell. And that still would have gave them the same opportunities, being that he wouldn't have the TKO loss on his record. It would just been a loss by whatever the judges had it like. Because I'm pretty sure he won some rounds in that fight. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I want to say salute to William Old School Ardent out there as well in that super chat. He says, salute Stormybman. Happy holidays. Same to you, man. And we thank you for your donation, man. Yeah, I saw a recurring theme in tonight's bouts, Reggie, and it was about boxing skill and boxing technique. What I noticed tonight was we had in a few of the bouts, I think I watched 6. I didn't realize I watched that many, but I thought they said it was 7 bouts, if not 10 on there, but I watched 6 of them and I realized something. The recurring theme was, boy, I didn't realize. I know boxing is bad technique wise, Reggie, but I didn't realize until I watched tonight, because it was a car full of young guys. The jab is almost non-existent with these guys. And it's like, dude, you're not going far without a jab in boxing. I'm sorry. You can do shoulder rolls. You can do peekaboos. You can do the shaking your shoulders and all of that foolishness and everything, and even dance around on your toes. But if you've got no jab, you're going to get your ass whooped. Period. And it's like, again, this falls on trainers, bro. I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, the absence of a jab is it's like right there in front of your face. And these young men, several of the bouts tonight could have made the fight a lot better and easier for themselves had the men been more versed and skillful with a jab. And some of these guys have had amateur careers and still the jab is non-existent. Your thoughts on that before I elaborate even more?
Oh yeah, the jab is definitely a missing tool, and it's crazy because where you think you wouldn't see it, you see it the most, and that's from your tall fighters. Is that they lack the ability to throw a jab, and a lot of people like to lead off with the wrong punches. Like I see fighters who may be orthodox fighters leading off with right hands, or southpaw fighters leading off with the left hand. It was like And I'm like, you gonna get caught with something. But it's almost like I don't know what these guys get taught in gyms, or because I think a lot of times in the gym it's a lot of showcasing and showboating and outdoing and not enough learning going in there. It's about being able to celebrate wins inside of gyms, and it's not enough teaching in gyms. And I think that's the problem in there, and that's the reason why nobody goes in here with jabs. And then they fight people from the other thing that you get some people from these other countries. This thing with the European style of thing, Europeans going to probably force a lot of American fighters to start learning the use of the jab, because you see the best jabs you see in boxing come from those guys from over there. In America, these dudes ain't using. You see 6 foot tall welterweights, no jab. 6'3" super welterweights, no jabs. They can down there be 7 feet tall with no jabs. You have to utilize a jab and be effective with it. Even with Tyson Fury, the one thing that benefits with him is Tyson Fury would jab you to death. Tyson Fury would jab you to set you up. The Klitschko's, they would jab you to set you up. Beterbiev would jab you to set you up. Kovalev would jab you to set you up. These dudes work jabs. Even Canelo works an effective jab as short as he is. He sets everything off the jab. These dudes have to learn it. And a lot of these dudes, because when people don't like to learn things, they don't want to go through the course of technical things. And they refuse to sit on the jab. They try to do other things, and then they have nothing. And they sit out there and lost them when they face someone who creates those difficulties. A jab can create a lot of difficulties, but it also can set things up for you, make fights very easy. But it's crazy seeing that. Robert Easter was like one of the guys who I seen that had the worst habit of his lack of a jab, and it was sad to see, like, towards the back part of his career, he started utilizing a jab effectively in his last fight I watched him in. And it's like, it's a little bit too late for that. But go ahead.
No, it's just it's just a thing where you notice it when there is like lulls in the action, when someone doesn't know how to take the lead, when you got both guys looking at each other and someone is looking to punch after someone. I won't call it counterpunching because they're not that smart, okay? Because they're not displaying the technique that sets up counterpunching. Counterpunching is set up, regardless of what anybody wants to think about it, okay? But these men standing right in front of another person with no head movement and no jab, you know, it's almost like, you know, somebody daring you to hit them, and the person is ill-equipped to respond. And I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, some of these men really need to study up on their craft. Now, I saw a kid in the early bout on I think that was on FS1, that Trayvon Marshall against Brian Jones. Now, Jones was not a good challenge for Marshall. Marshall fought very well. He reminds me a lot of former junior middleweight and middleweight champion Keith Holmes. I was looking at him. He had very good posture and stance. He was well balanced. He could throw his shots very well, Marshall. And what I noticed, I was like, the difference between he and Keith Holmes was a southpaw, but they fight just alike. And I'm like, this kid is very young. It was only like his fourth fight or something like that. And it was like, I could see some stuff. Right now, they can go ahead and move him up to 8 rounders. He don't have to fight 6. He don't have to fight 4 anymore because he fought 4 rounder tonight. They can move him right up to 8 because he has the tools. And he needs now to be moved up to a level where someone who can extend him rounds, not someone that can go in there and hurt him with punches and stuff like that. Remember, I said there's a progression with fighters that when you know that your guy can beat up other people or knock them out, now you start putting him in with guys who gives him problems or issues that he has to overcome. He has to resolve these problems. And when he moves from that stage, Then you teach him along the path of this. You teaching him how to defeat styles. Okay. And when he becomes versed in those two areas, solving problems, that means you have to make adjustments in the fight when the fight is not necessarily going your way. You still have to come out victorious. Then you're ready to start moving into the line of contending. A lot of these guys are skipping over, the process, because all they see is the money. All they see is the opportunity and they see all these belts. But you'll be a short story when you don't have these other assets that I speak of. Where's Teofimo right now? They rush the process for the money. And the funny thing about that is the more adept you become, if you win a championship, you can defend a championship. When did Teo suffer his first loss? First championship defense. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So there are facts in what I'm sharing here, and I'm no, guru. It's just that I understand how the process is supposed to work. But you can see these people. That's why some of these dads, you pull them out from the spotlight and put them in the ranks. You get some experienced and capable people who can help make that transition, because the transition comes sooner or later. You know what I mean? Throughout the process. The problem you mentioned, what was the fighter you mentioned a moment ago that doesn't like to use the jab? What's his name?
Robert Easter.
Easter. One of his main problems was they skipped some of the teaching and tutelage. And now he's stuck because he doesn't have that, and probably feels inadequate to go back and try to say, hey, I want to brush up on this. But that's what he's supposed to do. But they make him think like, well, we could still get by. Getting by in boxing don't cut it, bro. Because the next young, hot thing coming along will end it for you. You see? So going back to the drawing board, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't you have to do that in school when, otherwise you flunk? You have to find a way. And to just try to erase and pretend it don't exist, that's not what you want. You want someone to go out there, this other kid that Lomachenko just fought. Same thing. He and Easter have the same problems. Almost mirror images. And other guys are going to benefit from their shortcomings because they're too stubborn to go back and study up in a sport where you're getting punched in the face for a living. These are facts. But that kid, Javon Marshall, I like what I saw from him. And like I said, they can move him up to 8 rounders right now. Let him, I think he said he got 4 brothers and 4 sisters. He's one of 9. So he hungry. You know what I mean? He hungry. And it will benefit him for them to take a different, look at how because he's capable in a lot of ways, but now he needs just experience and different types of experiences. And I look forward to seeing him some more this coming year, because I was very pleased with that. But when I saw him, I'm like, that's Keith Holmes right there. He's just orthodox. And Keith Holmes was a hell of a boxer, Reggie. He really was. And on his worst night, when he lost to Bernard Hopkins, he was having some difficulties, going into that fight and everything. I've had a chance to have a conversation with Keith Holmes, and I remember him talking about some things, but I always thought he was a hell of a boxer. And if you go back and you watch some film of Keith Holmes and you watch that film of that kid tonight, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was catching his highlights. He's a fighter that I see the corner. Well, I was talking about earlier where corner had to stop the fight. That That was him right there you're talking about. But also there's a point about what what's the name was talking about, and I think this is probably a tribute to these American fighters not being teachable athletes. And that's kind of a common thing in some of the American sports, to where you see some kids as they move up through the earlier phases of sports programming. They're stars in the Pop Warner leagues. I'm talking about, if I'm saying football, Pop Warner leagues, high school, college, but they're uncoachable. Sometimes that begins to dampen their careers. And Rashid was talking about, what we was talking about, a lot of European fighters using a lot of fundamentals, working off of jabs. And I forgot to even think about the fact that there's a lot of American trainers that are teaching these guys. And that could be a thing about coachability. And sometimes society plays a part in that. And a lot of these fighters just aren't willing to learn because we have dumbed down too many things. A lot of people don't believe in hard work. They look for shortcuts in a world or in a game where shortcuts ain't gonna buy you nothing but failure. And that could be a good thing. And that's, I didn't even think about the point that a lot of these other European fighters are trained by our trainers. And maybe, and a lot of trainers probably want to work with fighters that listen to things. Don't play around the gym. The gym is a place to learn. And these dudes are factoring in a lot of that.
Yeah. And, you know, we had another comment. I'll go back to it in just a second here. Who was that? Andrew Gray. He said, I watched the fights live. There were hardly any jabs thrown. See, and that was what I opened up with. Remember, I'm like, this is what I bring, you know, when I talk boxing. It's like, I don't look to slam anybody or whatever. I can talk about the X's and O's. And here you have a person that just wrote in the chat that said, hey, I watched the fights live. There were hardly any jabs thrown. Isn't that the criticism that you would want from someone who's watching the sport, sharing it with you, talking about and everything? Because remember, you're not looking at glitz and fritz. You're looking at, you know, technique and everything. And how far can a guy go in the sport without a jab? Not very far. Not very far. They get hurt. They get beat up. And you can get the fight, you can get the fight beaten out of you in a gym. It don't even have to happen in live action, because when you're in the gym and you're working with more polished fighters and they're taking advantage of you all the time, what will happen is you'll become what they call gun shy. You won't know what to do because no one has told you or taught you or put you in a situation to see where your mistakes are and how we can fix that. What can we do to tweak it? You see, trainers, that's where that comes from. And it's like, when you don't have that, you need to lose that trainer, because they're not going to advance you. They'll advance you into a, you know, a beating or someone taking the opportunities away from you. But, you know, again, these are the kind of things that we talk about, and you would like to see it get better. Now, with the boxing aspect of sports being taken out of the upcoming Olympics, you know, it's time for some of these American trainers to pee or get off the pot, because they're going to have a host of guys that they're going to have to start prepping for professional boxing. And if they don't have the acumen to teach, then guys should start seeking out other sources, because they're not going to go very far, especially when some other people are advanced in other parts of the world and have taken that opportunity to use that advantage and jump right into the pro game. So, you know what I'm saying? So those are some things to think about, you know, big time. That fight that was, I don't know if you want to call it a co-main, Reggie, with Rajon Chance and
Chance.
Elon De Jesus. Good fight there. I think the wrong guy won, but Give me your thoughts. Give me your breakdown on that one.
I agree with you. I thought the wrong guy won. I think they need to definitely fight a third time. I like the matchup between those two. Very, very good scrap between those dudes. But Chance, Chance's skill, great balance. He showcases that he has great skill. He very good counterer, very good speed on him, but he lacks the ability to want to lead. He don't want to lead anything. Even in moments where he can get off and lead, he sits back waiting to try to catch something. And he also found himself getting caught with shots, being that this dude who could, if he would have been more active, because that guy realized he couldn't sit there and box with him. His thing was to go in there, be rough with him, try to get on the inside. And he's able to do that because Chance sat there looking, watching, waiting for a punch, and trying to time a straight shot. And they weren't really doing anything. None of his straight shots hurt this guy. It didn't keep the guy on the outside. This guy was looking to get in there and rough him up. He was the more active fighter. He was and it's the reason why Chance was hurt multiple times. Chance did a lot of holding in this fight because he had to. Because he sat back there way too long, looking for opportunities that weren't there to try to land one shot. I think the other thing that factored in was who was present in the fight. Too many of his friends out there, him looking to showcase for them, because there's even that one moment where he could get hit with good shots, and the first thing he do is shake his head no, like it didn't hurt. You ain't doing it to tell that fighter that. You're doing it to let your folks out there know you good, letting this dude know like he can't do nothing. But nah, this dude was hurting you in this one moment to where the Jesus landed a big left hook, but as the Jesus was throwing it, I think he was coming on the inside, falling in. He didn't see what the shot did. But that moment, Chance locked up on that guy, and he was hurt. His legs did a slight little dip in the knees, and he was a little bit hurt from that fight. But he did an excellent job holding on, tying up in that moment. But he's going to have to be way busier. I know he has a better jab than what he had, but it's once again, some of these fighters liking to be too flashy, liking to be too clean, and not liking to be hit. They like to do the hitting, but they're afraid for things to come back at them. And that's really what he showed. He moved around a lot. And it just ain't gonna work because he's gonna have to see this dude again. And I guarantee this dude ain't about to waste no time with him in that third fight. And Chance is gonna have to show greater improvements on being able to lead offensively. But that's my thoughts. I thought that was a good scrap. I like the matchup with those dudes. But if I have to call a winner in that third fight, I'm gonna call for De Jesus, depending on how far out that third matchup is, if it's soon or if they wait down the line in their careers to see what happens in their careers. But great fight. Wrong person. I agree with you. Won tonight.
Yeah. Also with Chance, he was very laxed on the inside where you're supposed to tie a guy up and everything, and he was getting nailed. And it was his own fault, not being focused, not tying a guy up the correct way. And we had Malik Scott on air a couple months ago talking about that, how tying a guy up is a very important part of boxing technique as well, because it's not illegal to tie a guy up. Holding excessively is illegal in boxing, but tying a guy up to wrap his extremities up in a fashion which it forces the referee to break you, that's you stopping that guy at a particular moment within a round from doing what he wants to do to you and make him start over. But in the point of making him have to start over, you're supposed to exercise part of your game plan to get at him off of that, which is what I said a moment ago when you talk about counterpunching, how counterpunching is something that is tactical and it requires technique. You don't just counterpunch because somebody threw something, you counter. You just throw after them or whatever. You see, because sometimes counterpunching entails timing. And the timing that is entailed by counterpunching is almost being able to anticipate what the guy is going to do because you've surveyed what he's been doing. You've been watching him. when he throws a certain punch, he actually gives it away. It might be a movement of his shoulder or his chest plate. It may flex. You see the muscle flex, and you know he's going to throw a certain shot. That's when you do a counter punch that beats the guy to the spot. One of the great counter punches is in my video intro here, is when Buster Douglas went to throw that uppercut at Holyfield from too far out. And Holyfield, who was well practiced in that, they studied the film on Buster. Buster always threw that uppercut. Sometimes he would throw it too far out. Sometimes he would throw it from the proper position. And when he threw it from too far out, Holyfield took a slight step back so he could evade the punch, and wham, nailed him with a right hand, which dropped Douglas and knocked him out in the fight. That's counter punching. It's not just, a guy do something, you do something. You have to understand what allows this to transpire. And, when you got guys like Chance, who was just kind of holding back, looking for something, he wanted to try to catch the Jesus with a solid shot from a certain range. How are you going to do that without setting it up with a jab? You hit the guy or threw it a few times, and the guy said, okay, this is what he's doing. So now all I know is I got to make it look like I'm going to be there for him to throw it. And then when he throws that, I'll do this. You see what I'm saying? It's like you've already taken that opportunity away from him. But if you establish a jab, punches can come from various angles and trajectories and off of the jab. And that's what I was saying this evening. We saw the lack of using jabs, because these were, inexperienced guys, but they seem to have some talent. You know what I mean? And it's like, it lets you know how poor the schooling is, because it's like you got talent, but they're not cultivating it. That kid Chance looked like he should have been able to box the Jesus trunks off, and he made it a dog fight. I scored the first round even. I think I wrote that in your chat. And then after that, I saw myself giving rounds to the Jesus because he was the busier guy. He was like more effective with his aggression. And it looked at certain points within the fight that Chance was just trying to look good instead of win the fight. If I was working in his corner, I would have told him, I said, look, stop dropping that damn left hand and sticking your shoulder out like this, huh? You're not a Jet Beauty of the Week, sticking your shoulder out like that. That's what they used to do when you used to open up the Jet magazines and they had the Lady of the Week in there. They posing and they posture and they put their little shoulder out there because you get a beeline of the breast, huh? That ain't what you in here for, fool. Get that left hand up and start shooting that jab off of that. Double up on it. Push the guy back with the jab. You double up on it, huh? Then you feint him. And you step around, then you hit him. Start being diversified in there and stop waiting for something to happen and make something happen. But where are you hearing this advisement from those corner men? Nowhere. Nowhere. And like I said, I'm not a freaking guru. Anybody that out there that really has real good coaching experience will tell you exactly that I'm telling you the truth. And this is why you know that these guys working with those young men don't know what the hell they doing. So it's like, yeah. And sometimes one of the best ways to drill a point home is to embarrass somebody. Because when you're embarrassed, you look around, the way it makes you feel, you never want to feel that again. You never want to experience that again. So if that means that you stuck your shoulder out there one too many times and the guy came over with a left hook and knocked you on your ass, maybe you won't think about doing that next time. Maybe you'll think about putting that glove in the proper position and, start warding those punches off, slipping them, moving your head, huh? And if you still ain't learned You're in the wrong business, baby.
Nothing but facts spoken on that one. Nothing but facts. And I think even at that towards that, what was they going into the ninth, or they may have been going in the 10th round. And the father was telling them about stop all that holding, man. You need to do this, you need to do that. Right as he go to hug his father, and then he go out there and don't do none of that shit. It was like even for the first round, it was like that. That's what I want to see the scorecards in this fight, because if they any judge gave that dude the 12th round, you know, with some cooking going on those books with the judges, because no way he won that. And even I think the father was a little bit concerned going into close to that. If that was no, was that a how many rounds was that fight? Was that a
That
six
was
or
a 6 rounder, a six
a,
rounder.
a 6 round fight? So they were going into out of the either the 5th round or going in that 6th round is when the father was telling them that you need to stop, you need to throw the jab, you need to throw this. He knew that, and he didn't do none of it. So I got to see what these judges scored on that card. But that kid Chance is way too skilled to have fought the way that he fought, and it's showing that they're not putting him in tough fights with tough competition. He's in the gym to try to look pretty, look fast, to look flashy. He has to go in here to learn, because he's going to face different styles. Boxing is a game of matchups, a game of styles. So he has to be prepared and ready.
And that's the other thing about the corruption in the sport, Reggie, that I think could easily be fixed, but it won't if you don't call for it. Too many fights are given to guys that didn't win. Too many are given to guys who didn't win. Chance didn't deserve to win tonight. And I'm not trying to be overly critical of him or anything, but he did not pull that fight out. That could have been another draw or a loss, but he did not win the fight. And when you have that type of situation, you're rewarding bad behavior. If I want this kid to be the best that he could be, maybe he needs to be hit up with a dose of reality. And that's a loss, because now you have to reset the clock. You got to come back and prove that you can get the job done. And like I said, sometimes people need motivation by embarrassment, because a loss would be embarrassing for him on Christmas Day, or whatever. But I don't think the Jesus has to hang his head when he goes home to his family for Christmas dinner, because he fought well and well enough to earn either a decision or a draw. But he did not lose that fight. Chance lost that fight because he didn't, you just said it yourself, he didn't even do the things that his dad was telling him to do to go out for the last round. He didn't do any of it. And he held a lot in the last round too. So why are we rewarding guys for not doing their best? Not laying it down. I ain't talking about going out on your shield like you, because this was not that type of fight, but it was a fight that he could have easily scored that 8th round. He could have scored it, but he didn't. So why are we rewarding the guy? And we've seen so many fights like that. So many. Where a guy just did not win it, but the other guy got favor. Fuck favor. It's a fight, man. The one thing that Max Kellerman used to say when he was on Friday Night Fights, long time ago, that I always agreed with, was, who would you rather been? Who would you rather be in that last round? Guy A or guy B? You know what I mean? And the guy who put the hurting on the other guy is usually the guy that you would rather be, or just bested the other guy. But how do you best another guy and then don't get the judge's approval for doing it? That's corruption. That's corruption. And so when you got someone sitting ringside like a Lennox Lewis or a Joe Goosen, they got to say it. They have to say it. They have to say, hey, man, you know what? Good fight and everything, but the judges stunk this one up with that type of decision. You have to say that. You have to put the people on notice. You know what I mean? And that's where people like us come into play, because we have a voice. We have an outlet. We have an audience. And we're here to do that in the proper manner. It's like we watch hundreds of fights a year, right? And it's like especially you and I, Reggie, we go back and we don't always agree on everything, but at the same time, we bring out the essence of the sport, the truth of the sport, the fact of the sport. And we do it in a manner of which, like, if someone listens to us with clear conscience, they know that they can go back and say, you know what, those guys were right about this. And I feel the same way. I'm going to send an email. I'm going to write. I'm going to, do what I can to say, hey, share that message, because this is the proper track to be on. We're talking about these fights tonight. I drew one line in comparison for the whole card tonight. This was Christmas with no jab. So, it's true. No jabs for Christmas. All I want for Christmas is a jab from some of these young fighters. Next year, maybe. Maybe Santa can get that in for them next year. The message at 2:15 said it looked like Chance was going to get dropped. If he kept dipping his head down like that, wait till he get in there with someone who knows what to do to him. You know what I'm saying? That's when you're going to see it. You're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. You can't be hitting me behind the head and on the side of my head and all of that if I'm sticking my jab in your mouth. As soon as you get within range, hey, take that. You know what I'm saying? That's simple. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Absolutely.
So what else you got, Reggie? On you want to talk about that fight that was before the co-main, which was Elvis Gomez against that guy Clay Carlard?
Oh God. Oh man, what that beat down was brutal, man. I felt so bad for Clay Collard, man. I felt so bad for him, man. And I wish I could throw a towel from YouTube, like somebody wrote in the chat that somebody on YouTube need to throw a towel. I wish I could have threw a towel in for Clay, man. I didn't know it was gonna be. I know the beat down was gonna be that bad because I never seen this Cuban guy fight, and he's aggressive and vicious as hell. And I think Cowler thought he would be a little competitive as he's been having a little success in some of these fights, and that's why he's been getting these TV dates. But he went in there and probably don't want to ever step inside the ring because that guy hit Clay Collard everywhere. When they showing the replays, it was punches to his elbows, side of his arm, his chest. That dude threw a punch to Clay's chest that was so damn hard. He could have cracked that dude's sternum, man. And this guy was hitting with everything. Then he hit Clay with a punch. Clay turned to the side and got to try to run. And that guy came on his head, man. It was on top of him. Then I think he dropped him. Soon as the count was made, he returned to action. This dude ran at him with a goddamn right hook to the side of the neck. I say, dang, this dude is vicious, man. That dude vicious as I don't know what, man. And then to watch when the ref stepped in there, Clay was getting beat up so bad I couldn't stop laughing when the ref come in there and Clay flinched back. Yeah, the ref was gonna jump in on it. I say that's when you know you're getting whooped on. You don't know how many people you in there fighting. He thought the ref wanted a piece of him, man. I say, God, man, that was brutal. Then wait, let me say this. At the end of this dude in there showing to his coaches like some shadow boxing, I like, man, that dude's gonna be bad, man.
That dude, I wrote in your chat, Reggie, that dude fought like he said, "What you say about my mama?" because he was on Clay Collard like white on rice, man. He was on that dude, Reggie, and he hit him with some of everything. He hit him with some technical punches, but he hit him with punches that wasn't in the boxing rule book. It was a hurricane in there. It was a hurricane in there, man. He opened several cans, maybe a 6-pack of whoop ass on Clay Collard, man. And I think he probably did it. Don't take this as fact, but a little B told me that he unleashed like that because Clay came in there with that name. You know what I'm saying? He said, "Oh, really?" And he just put it on him, man. It was like, if you go back and watch the fight, the first couple of body shots he hit Clay Collard with, the dude had bruises on his. You could see the bruises, like he hit him with one of those kung fu punches or something, man, because he bruised immediately. I was like, oh, this dude in trouble, man. And man, Reggie, a 1-round blitzkrieg never looked so good. I'm telling you, he was on that dude. He was on him, and like you said, Collard probably thought he was fighting several dudes. Man, he was on that guy. He was on him. And I couldn't get mad because I was like, you know, at some point, he lost all technique and everything. He was just. He was hitting that dude with everything. He said, MMA, huh?
Oh, the real.
I'm telling you, man, I couldn't wait to do the post-fight show so I could talk about that fight, man, because that dude right there, you know what? You go get him when you're going to have a street rumble, because he going to just go around hitting everybody. He just go. Then somebody told him, hey, put these gloves on and these trunks. We're going to take you to the gym. Because I ain't never seen no Cuban fight like that, Rich. Where they find that dude at? They said his record, I think, going in was like 4-0 or something. Yeah. You're going to have to be ready when you get in there. Put him in there with that big kid, that 6'6" kid, and see what happened. Timber. He gonna chop that dude down so bad, he gonna be about 4'11" when he leaves that ring. He too easy to hit. He too easy to hit. And that's 154 too, right? Isn't that what he was?
I think, yep, 154.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Y'all keep your eyes open for that guy, because he gonna be something else. I ain't saying he gonna be world champion, but I'm saying he gonna give y'all some interesting bouts. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Your thoughts, Reggie?
Man, like I said, I never felt so bad for a fighter in my days of watching boxing. I felt bad for Collard, man. I felt so bad. It was so bad, I forgot that he even dropped Collard because of the beatdown was so brutal. That almost looked like a 12-round fight. That's how bad he was brutalizing him in such quick action. Like it seemed longer than what it really was, and it was just nonstop. I don't even know if Collard threw a damn punch this dude was letting off on him so bad. But
I don't think I remember him. I think he might have did like and
he thought about it. I better not hit this damn fool.
The punch went halfway out like, I better protect myself.
He tried to tell Collard, you hit me, you're just gonna make me mad. Right now I'm happy. Better not land nothing on me.
Oh man. That dude, it's you know what, but it's great that we could even find something like that to laugh about, right? Because this is what it's all about. It's like everything ain't supposed to be picture perfect or whatever. But man, when you find those moments to just enjoy and just have a good time, it's like this is what we watch boxing for, because you just don't know, man. You know, Mike Tyson, when he was a young pro fighter, that's what he was doing to people. He come out there and he had blitz them and he was throwing them shots and people was bouncing off of ropes and hitting the canvas and stuff. It was almost like watching Popeye on spinach beating up guys. And then you saw the technique come in a little bit later and you got a little more refined and everything. But that's what he was doing to people early on, because he could hit hard and his hands were fast. So you get ready to throw a jab, and Tyson is like, the dude's on the canvas. So that's what we used to see, So it's always entertaining to see these guys. You know who's the last guy I remember being like this dude? That doggone Ricardo Mayorga. He was like that. He jump out there, man, and do all that stuff, then be smoking cigarettes after the fight and stuff. Like that guy was crazy.
That was crazy as hell, man.
Oh man. So yeah. You got anything else on tonight's fights?
No, the Joey Spencer fight.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
It was crazy me kind of speaking on some of the things I thought Joey was lacking. Then he goes and scored that big knockout in that fight. But even in that knockout win, there were some things that Joey really has to work in on. And I think Joey does a lot of, one shot, kind of looking over his punches. I think Joey takes what they call taking photos. He does a lot of photo taking in his fights. He likes to land that one hand and that's throwing off of that right hand, the orthodox stance, which is bad because that punch has to travel too long. It leaves him way too open. He leaves those hands down at moments. I think Joey has to get more active with utilizing the jab, setting his things up. Because I think he got the base. If he sets things up, because he can throw in combinations, but he likes to lead off of his power hand rather than leading off the jab hand. And he's going to leave himself open. He steps up in competition against someone. But he's able to get this guy up out of here. But I did see holes in there. It was an entertaining fight. And just like before I knew it was on, because I came on thinking I'll just do, because I was going to give a salute to these fighters that fought today. I wasn't even planning to go. I was going to go live later because I thought the fights would come on later. And then I was told, oh, man, Joey in here in a tough fight against a guy he should have, who was a soft touch. And I'm like, oh, what the heck? So I go to tune into it. And it was Joey getting his, trying to get his work off, but still facing a little bit of adversity based on what he's not doing. Yeah. It's because of what Joey's not doing is what's causing the issues, because a lot of these guys, he can get out there much quicker. He could have got this guy out of here much sooner than that. If Joey, what you're speaking about, the jab, the utilization of a jab, he didn't use it. I see Mielnicki use his jab more than any of these guys tonight, except he got tired. But the rest of these dudes was nothing. It was just like, and Joey cannot be throw the right hand, then do all this stuff, looking back, hand down, throw another one, way back to take the picture. Somebody gonna dog him, and he has to stop doing that. He has to stop doing that. But that's my thoughts on that.
And you know who else does that at heavyweight? AJ. AJ likes to throw his right hand and pull it back like this, like he's posing or something. He does a lot of horrible technical mistakes in there. And it's another reason why Usyk beat him so easily, because, Usyk is very seasoned to take advantage of those things. I don't know why they're pushing so hard for a rematch, because he probably need to go and study for another 3 to 5 years before he get back in there with Usyk, because Usyk will still take him apart. And I don't even mean to take the conversation into a direction like that, but I'm just speaking about crude technique. And when guys have that and it's not corrected, a big disaster is in the wings. Like Mielnicki, he'll beat Spencer up right now. He'll beat him up because he could take advantage of those mistakes. That and I know they're going to keep those two guys away from each other. They're only a few pounds away. Like One is a junior welterweight, and the other one, a junior middleweight, and the other one is a middleweight. So, they're right there, but they're gonna keep those two guys away because there's two different audiences that they can tend to. See, Mielnicki, he might be of the audience like a Arturo Gatti. Spencer is like the audience of a guy like what's the kid's name they used to like
Wore the American shorts.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the guy. I don't want to go back as far as Ray Boom Boom Mancini, but that's of that ilk. That's the matinee idol type guy. Always got a good TV audience, but they never putting them in there with the real world beaters. You know what I mean? But that thing, like you said, and you called it, you say pulling that hand back and all of that, dude, he gonna really get eaten up, in this boxing game, being that type of fighter.
Yeah, someone's gonna eat him alive. He continues to do that. Like they have to advance. They have to advance Joy forward because they start pulling the reins on him. I was surprised to see him that far on the card, especially at one point. Joy was up here, and now they have moved Mielnicki up here. Joy has really had to kind of get pulled back, and I think him and his father are going to have to kind of advance things forward. Like he has to stop doing the showcasing and posing stuff. He needs to lead and stump on the gas, and he got to keep himself clean because even when he had the guy hurt him running in there, the guy was catching him with punches. The guy landed a few good shots. Anybody else, you running in there, rushing in, not thinking, why you got somebody hurt? And a lot of times those guys are trying to survive. They're throwing punches. Joy can walk into something, and he got to clean a lot of stuff up.
Yeah, it's not it's not even one or two things. It's his whole fight approach to fighting. It's like he needs to make some adjustments there. And there are some quality trainers out there. He need to seek them out. I mean, I don't know the people that were in his corner, but when you got some people that can really, help you out and everything, don't forget, Buddy McGirt added years to Arturo Gotti's boxing life, because Gotti was just going in there warring with people and everything. And he reminded Gotti of what he was good at in the amateurs and everything. He's like, dude, you can box. He was like, why are you in there just blood and guts in it every night? He was like, you want to be able to chew your food when you get 50 years old? He's like, let me show you some tricks and remind you of some things. And when Gotti would switch to that in fighting, he looked even better. The fans love it when you out there and you rip the shreds as far as bleeding and everything, and you look like you just stepped off of the latest Rocky movie set. But it's like they don't go home with you and see you when your eyes are swollen shut and you got to have all these stitches in your body and all of that, and and you can't hardly remember stuff, and those people are not with you then. That's one of the things I really respected about Buddy McGirt. And when he became a boxing trainer, I don't know that I'm as trusting of him, but I do know he will look out for a fighter's well-being. I do know that. He saved that one kid that ended up brain injured and everything, but at least he stopped that fight before it was too late in the fight. You know what I mean? It was like he still suffered some damage, but
oh no, he died.
Right, but I'm saying, but Buddy still stopped the fight. There are guys who would have just let the fight go, and Buddy is compassionate enough to have that, and that's why I said he saved years on Arturo Gotti's boxing life, because of being able to tell him there are some other things you can do to make it through a match and make adjustments. That's one of the most things you can ask of a trainer, to be able to be versatile in that regard, and to be able to give you keys to unlock and tools to go to work. You know, that's what that's all about. And it makes a difference when you got one of those in the ring with you to take care of you in that regard. You know, so
no, absolutely.
But yeah, you got any other thoughts on anything?
No, that was it. That was about all that I had on that one. But it was like I said, another entertaining, great day of boxing, man, on Christmas Day, man. Promoters, man, y'all gotta get these fights, man. It is a lot of days in a week that fight fans want to see. And I'm old enough to remember those Tuesdays of watching boxing. What else? I think Fridays was nice. They had boxing and they enjoy it. And there's a lot of fighters that need these TV opportunities, and there's a lot of fighters that want to be televised. But you got to be in shape. You got to be able to entertain, and you have to be appealing to these fans, because I think these are dates that are meant to create where stars are born, are guys who are just meant to be, you know, entertaining, crowd pleasers, are meant to showcase themselves before, if they can graduate to kind of one of the higher networks. But you got to get on these dates, got to be in shape, and salute to these dudes for being in shape on a Christmas to go in here to not only fight and entertain, but to also make money for themselves. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. And Friday and Saturday nights are not the end all and be all for boxing. If you put boxing on during the week, people will watch it. There was a time when a lot of closed circuit fights and pay-per-views happened on a Monday or Tuesday night. I even remember, I think, if I'm correct in this, Tyson and Ruddock first fight was on a Thursday night on TVKO. And I went to a sports bar to watch it because I didn't have cable hooked up at that time. I think I was in between pay periods or something, and I couldn't pay for my cable bill, and it was off. So I had to go to a sports bar and watch that fight. But if I'm not mistaken, it was either on a Thursday night or a Wednesday night, the first Tyson and Ruddock fight. So yeah, there are certain nights of the week that they can pick for boxing, even if it's a pay-per-view event. It's like that way people can still, fulfill their schedules and things like that. It's like you have to be creative with this. There's no rule that says the fight has to be on Friday night or Saturday night, And if it's certain times of the year, especially when there's no football, Sundays will always work for you, But yeah, go ahead and give us some final thoughts, Reggie, and we'll get ready to get on out of here and release everybody to their Christmas weekend.
Yes, indeed, man. Like I say, man, great day of boxing, entertainment. Get to be entertained with the sport that I know I love, you love, everybody in here loves to see this on a Christmas day. Like I say, for me, I'm grown out of Christmas, been grown out of Christmas for decades. I don't like watching the NFL anymore, so I'm not entertained by that. Not really entertained by the NBA. Usually just entertained if I find content on YouTube. But to be able to sit back and enjoy the sport I like, which is boxing, be entertained by it, to also see, I'm not caught up in celebrity boxers, not caught up in who's thought to be the premier guy and all that. I like to see all these dudes, especially seeing young talent, seeing what they bring, and when they come out and they can display, see what they need to improve on, because there's always things to improve on, and to observe it and see it from that approach. I enjoy that. But also with the thing with scoring, that thing needs to be improved in boxing. It's the other reason why boxing is facing issues out there in the Olympics. The Olympics ain't even putting up with that corrupted bull stuff. They say get the heck up out of here. So now it puts a lot of these up and coming amateur fighters in a spot to where, are they going to move into this Olympic thing, or now do they pursue these professional careers? And so, excuse me. So it pushes the advancing in their development. So, but that's all I got. We'll see y'all next week, as we got the heavyweight card. Looking forward to that on New Year's Day. Yes, indeed. But that's all I got.
Yeah, man. And That's gonna be something. You're right. That is New Year's. So here we go, right again with another holiday and got some boxing. So don't y'all get too drunk out there celebrating the New Year, ringing in the New Year. Get you some boxing in first, and then you can go for the KO. But yeah, this was another great post-fight show, man. We got a lot of people out there tuning in, checking us out. I appreciate everybody that smashed that like button. I think we had a new subscriber come in this evening as well. And I won't be long, Reggie, if you want to hang tight for just a moment as I close us out here and let everybody enjoy the new post-fight intro, outro. Peace to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, OG, I was gonna say, call me on the phone.
Okay, will do.
All
right. Peace. All right.